We gotta kill this switch. You're from the 70s, but I'm a 90s bitch. I love it. I love it. I got this feeling on the summer day when you were gone. I crashed my car into the bridge. I watched, I let it burn. I threw your shit into a bag and pushed it down the stairs. I crashed my car into the bridge. I don't care. I love it. I don't care. I love it. I love it. I don't care. I love it. I don't care. You're on a different road. I'm in the Milky Way. You want me down on Earth, but I am up in space. You're so damn hard to please. We gotta kill this switch. You're from the 70s, but I'm a 90s bitch. I don't care. I love it. I don't care. I love it. I love it. I don't care. I love it. I don't care. I love it. I love it. I don't care. I love it.
13 years, I'll figure out where that freaking button is. Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. I am your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. Happy 4th of July again, Zooks. Welcome to the show. If you like our show, be sure and check out our Patreon, the Opperman Report Patreon. Got a ton. If you want to get all the stuff early, unedited, commercial free, guess who we got coming up, who I'm taping with this week? The month of July is probably one of the most spectacular months I've ever done in my life. We have the widow of Philip K. Dick. I'm taping with her tomorrow, okay? What do you call it? Remember that thing where he did that press conference? I think I put it up on Patreon for free, the press conference. If I didn't, I'll do it today. Where he goes up there and he says, I took some sodium pentothal for some dental surgery, and I figured out we're living in a simulation. And that's how I'm able to do these stories here. I'm telling you about another world I've been living in. A parallel universe. Yes, it is there. Philip K. Dick Simulation Theory up in the Opera Report page. And I got the full version, too, like the 45-minute version. Not that little 10-second clip you see on YouTube. I got the real thing. Okay, so we have that. His widow's coming on. We have Walter Herbst coming back about his book. Really good interview there. I have for you. Here's what I've done for you. What have you done for me lately, Ed Opperman? Well, I'll tell you what I've done for you. Remember that notorious Pissgate, the P-tape in Russia there, the blackmail, the compromat? Well, guess who I got? I got the guy. Who knows the guy behind the guy? I got the real guy. Firsthand, testified before the grand jury in regards to that tape, in regards to Russian collusion and Russian conspiracy with the Trump campaign. Never done an interview before. This will be his one and only interview. You can get it from me here. We have a lot in common. A lot of mutual friends that has things that work out in life. When you're out there doing stuff for real, you're not just sitting around Googling. When you're actually out there doing something with your life. I encourage everybody, go out there and do something, man. Don't be afraid of your own shadow, man. What can they do? They can only kill you once. They can kick your ass a whole bunch of times. I can tell you that. They can beat your ass down many, many times, but after the first few times, you hardly notice. You get used to it, Although at this age, I'm not looking forward to the next one, but it's coming. Craig Unger's coming back to talk about the October surprise. I think this is our second or third. Craig Unger, editor of Vanity Fair. We have him coming on. And what's this thing? Oh, Noah's Ark. Yeah, this is coming on tonight. I'm playing this fellow who lives in Turkey. And he's discovered Noah's Ark. And he does tours out there and stuff like that. A much more fun interview than I expected. We have him. And then I have this tattoo girl. What's her name real quick? I'm sorry. She's a friend of Joe Exotic, Nicole Lee Tattooer, okay, and she's all over social media. Let me hit that Instagram. Let's see her name on social media there. Very nice woman. Nicole Lee Tattooer. That's her, just like I just said a second ago. But now I've confirmed it. I've clicked on the link and I can confirm it. I'm learning my research skills from my wonderful audience out there. Loves to send me information, whether I want it or not. They just love it. Anyway, we have her, and then we have a Warren Jeff's son, Jaden. I can't read my own handwriting. Jaden Jeffs, who just got out of the cult, man, just a few years ago. He got out at 23. He's only 27 now. And he's not a polished interview. I'll tell you that. But very nice guy, man, and we got a lot out of him. Yeah, like I always do. I get these people on the air. They seem to like to talk to me. Okay. So that is our Patreon. Go to the Opperman Report page, and also to this live show I'm doing for you right now. Ultimately, I'm hoping. Pray for me, please, folks. Brought in this assistant to help me out, and we haven't gotten much done yet. Okay, so I'm really praying this thing works out. But hopefully, we can figure out this live streaming through Patreon. We'll do this this live show I do live on Patreon for free at first, and with video, and then ultimately it will be with for $3 to get people to support the Patreon, because I desperately need your support, guys. If you know how to do Reels or TikToks, like this interview I'm doing, this exclusive interview with this guy with the piss tape, the Russian guy, if we could do Reels and TikToks for something like that, it would drive in dramatic traffic right away. We're getting into the high season, the high revenue season for radio. And so I really got to start prepping for September, October, November, December. So some volunteers out there that can do Reels and TikToks, please, guys, I'm begging you. Please, Eddie, what a waste. Eddie, this makes money. Eddie makes money. That was the guy. Eddie makes money. He was telling me about his ad in the back of, I forget it was Hustler magazine or Screw magazine, whatever it was, where he sold his swampland in Canada. Eddie makes money. Oh, God. And then he blew his, we were in a fancy restaurant, too, at Bravo Gianni's. And Frank Sinatra was there that night. And so was Don King was there that night. I saw, other times I was there, I saw Tatum O'Neal and who's that tennis player, John McEnroe she was with. So, fancy place, man. Hard to get in. And this guy blows his nose in the linen napkin, man, as he's telling me about his ad in the back of Screw magazine, whatever magazine it was. This guy was up to. Speaking of Screw. Wikipedia, guys. Hey, if there's somebody out there that's a Wikipedia editor, I really want to ramp this up to get a Wikipedia page up for the Opperman Report. There's no reason other than suppression why I don't have a Wikipedia page, and the Opperman Report doesn't have a Wikipedia page. There's some ridiculous YouTube channels and podcasts out there that have pages on Wikipedia that haven't done 1% of what I've done in my life. It's like 10 books written about me. I'm in 2 live streaming documentaries right at this minute that you can go on live stream and watch. And I'm in this month's National Enquirer. I'm still in it. What do you need to do, man? Like who do I gotta, who do I gotta strangle to get in there? Anyway, so Wikipedia, I'm trying to get on Wikipedia, and also too, then to go back to all the shows with Richard Lampert, the FBI director with the Anthrax, to go back to these shows and add them in, like put my interview on the Richard Lampert page, to put my interview with Bill Hamilton on the Bill Hamilton page. Joe Francis, I got some big stuff, man. I got, could have been a contender. So if you sign up to Spreaker.com and you get this live broadcast, which everybody seems to like this the most, I don't know why. They like this better than the interviews. And some people think this is like the only thing I do. This is the only one they listen to. And then they have all these crazy opinions about me just because they hear. The whole purpose of this live show originally, as an after show to the interviews, was just to update people. Just what I just did, tell you what guests are coming up, was just to update people on that, so I wasn't getting bombarded with emails and messages asking, hey, Ed, who do you have coming on next week? And it hasn't really helped. I still get those damn emails. and messages. Guys, don't, by the way, text messages, and, if you got my phone number, don't text me at all, okay, so unless I text you first. But if you text me on social media, don't do it in the middle of the night. That's so rude, man. You wait until business hours you talk to somebody. That's so rude. I have to teach the audience manners. Go stand in the corner until this show is over. You're banned from listening. I wish I could do that. I wish I could just block certain people from listening. Speaking of people listening, let me jump over quickly over here. What is that? I can't get over. God, get me out of here. There are people listening. I know there's a whole little group of people listening tonight to get my reaction. Oh, they're sending me tips and information. Okay. I'm not easily distracted. Okay, people may think I'm a golden retriever. My first trip to the park, and I see a squirrel running by. With the squirrel, or someone's going to dangle a shiny object nearby me, and it's going to distract my attention. I am I'm capable of being the most focused person you've ever met in your life. As it is now, people tell me, "Hey Ed, what do you think of this guy? What do you think of that guy?" I don't listen to any other radio hosts or podcasters. I'll listen to while I'm driving in the car, like Sean Hannity, stuff like that. So when people try and tell me about, of course, in the old days, I listened to, Mae Brussels and Dave Emery, things like that, and Art Bell, I listen to that kind of stuff, man. But today, to what's out there, man, I'm not impressed whatsoever, man, not even a little bit. So people ask me, "Oh, Ed, follow this guy, follow that." No, thank you, man. You don't have to send me a YouTube video about those guys either. I'm not interested in it. I'm not easily distracted. I have my own focus and my own agenda, and I don't want to be distracted by other people's opinions and what they've Googled and what this information they're being fed, and what stupidity they're being fed. And I can find information by myself. And usually it's firsthand sources. I don't even have to bother with this nonsense. But I look back at this effort to try and manipulate me and feed me information or distract me or to distract my reporting, the show, things like that, or sabotage me, outright destroy what I'm trying to do. Those major efforts, which were highly funded. You can go back and look at them. You could just see all the signs that are there. But when I look back to this show, the radio show, the Opperman report, and how early on there was so much attempts to infiltrate and manipulate. My first producer on this show was a total catfish. Fake, lied about everything about her life, where she lived, her marital status, her ethnicity, just every little factor of her life, her employment status, just everything. And it always goes back to associations with Dave McGowan. And I'm not saying that I don't trust Dave McGowan. I love Dave McGowan. I'm the first guy. Most people heard of Dave McGowan through this show. And if they didn't, it was, what was it, Jimmy Church, or what was it? I put him on John B. Wells or something like that. And I got him on there. I'm the one who got him booked. So I love Dave McGowan. Me and Dave McGowan, anyway. I can't. Anyway, but this infiltration started way back then, and it involved McGowan. And now anybody you see out there with a fake name, anonymous YouTuber, podcaster, Twitter star out there, and they're somehow using the name Dave McGowan, man, or Program to Chill, or Program to Kill, or any of his work, man, they are all BS, man. Do not trust these people. They are so deep. First, anonymous trolls to begin with, man, but just so deep with intelligence agencies, it's just out of your mind. So what do you call it? That is that. So, but what was it early on that caused so much attention to this little guy, this little nobody doing this little internet radio show, that I would draw so much organized provocateurs inserting themselves into the show, and it's my life. What I think back, what was it? The Sarah Palin stuff. That Sarah Palin. For people who don't know, there was a story in the National Enquirer. My client They refused to pay her, so she brought me in, and it turned out she had information about Sarah Palin and Todd Palin, and then later on she had information about Secret Service misbehavior in Colombia with that brothel down there. It wound up in a congressional investigation, and my investigation of the Palins and trying to verify and vet out that story, on the day the evidence was released from the Anchorage, Alaska Police Department, laptops and diaries and address books. When the day I received that stuff is the same day that Sarah Palin said she wasn't going to run for president. Now, you can try and say, oh, it was a coincidence and stuff like that, but she acknowledged it was over my client. Said, oh, people are accusing my husband of having an affair. That's why I'm not running. So, this is not my imagination. This is not puffery. This is not name dropping. This is reality. This is what happened in my life. And a lot of stuff back then happened, too, as well, with outside agents, foreign agents. Inserting themselves into my house. My house was broken into. They drugged my dog to get in there. They swapped out some equipment, some digital forensic equipment that I had to hinder my investigations in that case. And someone who was, now I believe Russian intelligence. At the time, I wasn't quite sure. I thought maybe Mossad. She popped up in my life in a very strange set of circumstances. And this other woman, who I was with the night that Whitney Houston was killed. I was with her that night, and she was clearly Chinese intelligence. To the point where, I see her, at the embassy. She's posting pictures of parties at the embassy. And she's posting pictures on a train during Arab Spring where the train's being shot at, Oh, what were you doing there in Egypt during Arab Spring? Oh, the tickets were so cheap. I went there as a tourist because there was such a bargain. So I just traveled over there to visit. And then they happened to be shooting at my train. Here's the video. Okay, let's believe whatever I'm told. That's a stupid idiot. Oh, wait, Ed's so paranoid. It's just he comes up with these things in his head. He's imagining. Ed's imagining congressional investigations into Secret Service misbehavior. But when you look back at things, you have a 20/20 hindsight. You can kind of see. Now, and by the way, too, I wonder why I was considered so important to be all this effort put into me. Because I got to tell you, all that Sarah Palin stuff, I just stumbled and bumbled through all that. Even on the day that they broke into my house, I didn't even realize it. I just, thought it was my dog was sick, but they had gotten in and drugged the dog. And it wasn't until later on that I noticed that certain digital forensic equipment that I had was faulty and had been swapped out because I had just used it, so I knew, that it worked. I knew the type of equipment it should have been, and it was not the type of equipment it should have been. They looked the same, but it wasn't capable of doing of capturing the data. It was just like a charger, So then, and it was the same label I put on it, so it's the same device, the same. Appeared to be the same device I had in my home. It was in a safe. No, that wasn't in a safe. The phones were in a safe, but anyway. And it wasn't until later on that and I saw the signs of entry. I figured the whole thing out. There's no doubt in my mind what happened with that. Anyway, but so you go back and you kind of have better 20/20 hindsight. As a matter of fact, I was looking at my Facebook memories, okay? My God, why do they do that to us? Why does Facebook want to torture us with our past life, Especially what's so sad is so many people I was friends with back 10, 15 years ago, and now, I say, oh, my God, I blocked that person. I'm not even friends with them anymore. And it's a shame because at the time, we agreed on so much. We got along great. And then the fascism came and see this creeping fascism into our lives. Darn! Don't you hate when that happens when the country turns fascist and Nazis and all that kind of stuff like that? Just kind of ruins friendships and stuff. Who am I going to be on the cattle car with if not my old Facebook friends? But you look back, I'm watching some of my own stuff, and you look back, and I'm saying it, boy, the day before they arrested Ghislaine Maxwell, Rudy Giuliani went to visit the White House for no reason. There's no explanation why he was there. And I even went back and I looked up my daily guidance. I get updates from the White House on press releases. And, later on today, Trump is going to be signing these executive orders. At 9 a.m., he's going to Air Force Base, Edwards Air Force Base. He's taking a plane to, Westminster Golf Club, and he's flying back. I get all that. All that information because I'm press. I'm real press, not YouTube press. Real press. So many people love to say alternative media. My opinions, my personal opinions, may be a little alternative. I am a leftist. I'm a real leftist. I'm a real socialist. Not this nonsense you see out there. I'm not a liberal. I'm not a Democrat. But so they call me alt media. But I'm about mainstream as you can get. Look at what I got coming on this week. Craig Unger coming on. They had a Vanity Fair. I'm not all that alt. I'm not all that independent. I got all kind of credentials. You could want. Just about everything you could possibly ask for. Everything. By the way, I've gotten every kind of press kind of credential I've ever asked for. I've never been denied for anything, not even once, except when during the early first Trump campaign, very early on, I had press credentials with them, and I was on their press mailing list. And then one day they just took it away from me, right after they took away from the Washington Post. And I used to sit right next to the Washington Post because they when they sit you at these tables with your hookups, especially when you're on radio, they have a special, what's it called, the cable, some kind of cable. I forget what it's called, a cable box or something. Geez, I wish I could remember what that is. But anyway, they would sit you at this table, and I was right next to the Washington Post, and then L.A. Times, WLMOP. Alphabetically sitting next to them, And it was so funny, too, because I was such an amateur back in those days, too, like 13 years ago. And I'd be sitting next to these professionals. They're like, well, where are you from there, youngster? Oh, God. And, years later, I sit down with these people, and I tell them some of the stuff I'm involved with. They turn white as a sheet. And it's so funny. So often... I forget why I was going to talk about this. It's not in my notes. I'm pretty sure it's not. But so often, when I'm working on a criminal defense case, you'll be brought in. It's like a free call, a pretrial conference with the prosecutor and the defense attorney and me, a potential witness. What's this witness going to say? Let's get our ducks in a row here. Do we want to call this witness? Is there any way you can, is there a motion we can to deny this witness? And so often, they're just youngsters, man. They're youngsters, and I'll watch. They don't know what they're doing. You know what I mean? And I'm sitting there getting impatient with them, and I'll say, "Look, this is what your defense should be, and this is what your prosecution should be. This is the theory of your case. This is the theory of your case. You really don't need me. You can get a subpoena for my information. You don't really, okay, you can leave me alone. Just don't bother me." And you have no idea how many times, and I don't get paid to go down and testify, but what am I going to do? I sabotage myself. I cannot help it. I was born this way. I don't know where I was going with that. You get old and start forgetting things. But back to Rudy. I go back and I look at the old... Facebook memories, and he visited the White House the day before they arrested Maxwell, and right prior to that, there were all kind of shenanigans. Bill Barr fired Berman, who was the prosecutor at SDNY in New York, who was prosecuting Maxwell, and everyone down there in that office threatened to quit if they didn't allow his deputy director to take over the case, and they seceded, and they let them. They let the succession proceed. So 2020 hindsight, man, you look back and you see this kind of stuff. It's so obvious, But I still can't figure out what it was. Or what it still is, man. Like, why am I such a threat, man, that I get all this bullshit? And just, man, I don't know what it is, man. I'm just chugging along here. Just chugging along. And I kind of think that so much, I could be doing so much more, just had a little more resources, a little support. So much more I could be doing. But, man, I guess this is, but I was offered a big job as an investigative reporter, podcaster. You'd recognize I wasn't offered the job. I was offered the opportunity to apply. and it would be like $175,000 a year, $175,000 a year, and I could live in New York next to my daughter, which would be great. So Vic helped me put together a little letter and a resume thing for them, because I've never had to bother with a resume ever in my life. I put together one when I was out on bail years and years and years ago, like 30 years ago, 35 years ago. But since then, I haven't had to bother. I've always been employed by myself. And I had a CV, curriculum vitae, when I was testifying in court. When I used to testify, I had my past companies and past cases I worked on, education, things like that. But I don't even have that. I would have to drum something up real quick if I was called into if I were to take a job like that, which I have no interest in. What I'm looking for right now is lawsuits. Okay, yeah. All right, guys, it's, that's what we're looking for. So you look back, and you can kind of see this whole thing with the Rudy and Trump trying to sabotage the Maxwell prosecution. And then here we have this week, a second time, Mr. Elon Musk, king of the world, I guess let's call him King Musk, right? Master Musk, Your Highness Musk, just came out again and said, release the Maxwell tapes. Oh, no, it wasn't him. It was that weird guy, Scott Pressler, man, the vote, he gets people registered to vote, and he does all kind of shady stuff, and he shaves his legs. Yes. Yeah, this guy's, I don't know, man, I'm as open-minded as the next guy, but, I even commented on I says, do you shave your legs? He goes, and he smiles, he goes, yep. Okay, man, do you wear pantyhose? Gosh. Yep. Okay. Let's see here. So not DeSantis. Elon Musk came out again and said release the Epstein files. That Trump is on the files. So he can't. This can't be a bluff at this point, man. He must know something. He would know something. He's in a position to know. Epstein hooked up his brother with his wife. He knows Maxwell. We know that for a fact. And also, too, I think there was some stuff that Epstein invested in one of his companies. There was some investment going on there in the past, too, as well. So clearly, they crossed paths. They're all into the same stuff. By the way, people don't know this, but Musk was dating Amber Heard. I don't know while she was married to Depp. And today, he pays all her fees. He foots the tab for everything she does. So... If you know the allegations of her background, being like a party entertainment, that's her background, as being an entertainer at parties, So it's what do you want from me? There's a lot of stuff I know, that you really can't run around saying because you get sued for it. But there's a lot of stuff that's common knowledge, And usually when you're talking to these reporters and other people, tabloid kind of people and stuff, and you mention something, and they'll say something to top it. I say, oh, well, did you know this? And then that's kind of secondhand or third hand. I don't repeat that stuff. But the stuff I know. Speaking of stuff I know, the P tape, the piss tape. Oh, Ed, that was an online troll. That was a Reddit troll, Ed. I was there for the whole thing for Pissgate. Ha, 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 ha. Oh, Ed, you're so silly. Clearly, one of the factors about this is some things why I'm convinced about the piss tapes. The tapes in Russia of Trump visiting that beauty contest in Russia. He's at the hotel. They tell him this is the same bed Obama slept on when he was here. And Trump arranges for 2 prostitutes, not 1, but 2. There's a lot of facts to this story that are confirmed by other people that know the story, which is something you analyze when you're looking for corroboration. There's the word, corroboration. Okay? You get 63, you're just happy when you remember a word. Happy birthday, Ed. Okay, what do you call it? And I'll get 25 emails. Oh, Ed, I didn't know it was your birthday. Happy birthday. It's not my birthday. I did 25 shows about my birthday. Okay, guys, you should know my birthday by now. Okay. What do you call it? I could save a few things right now, but I won't. So the story goes through the Christopher Steele dossier, right? And let's back up a second. There's so often when I'll say, well, what is it about the dodgy dossier, the fake dossier? What is it about the dossier that you don't find accurate or you don't believe? And no one's read it. No one's read it. Okay? It's worse than Agenda 21. No one's read it. Though, well, the one thing is the P tape. I don't believe that. But you don't know anything else in the dossier. That's the only one you don't believe. Okay. Well, first of all, the dossier was not created for public consumption to embarrass Trump. It was internal opposition research. Okay. And just as someone who does opposition research, as someone who Trump came to for opposition research against the Clintons, not Trump himself, but the Trump campaign, I can explain to you that there are many levels and stages of opposition research. There's a lot of information that candidates have about each other that they never utter out loud because there are behind-the-scenes negotiations. I won't talk about your affair if you don't talk about my affair. I won't talk about your bankruptcies if you don't talk about my bankruptcies. I won't talk about your cousin, the crack meth cook, if you don't talk about my cousin, the meth cook. You know what I mean? There's stages to all this. And this was very early on report preparation notes that Christopher Steele has. But when he talks about the Pissgate tapes, he has two sets of witnesses. Two people that heard the story that know each other, and a separate set of two people who know the story that know each other. That's a lot of corroboration, man. And when you get, if you had that in a death penalty trial, you'd win the case. You'd have a death penalty conviction. Trust me, okay? But not only that, how did both of these four people know that it was two prostitutes instead of just? Why wouldn't people get things wrong? People get confused. Why wouldn't one say it was one prostitute and another say, well, it was three prostitutes? But they both say it's two prostitutes, and they didn't know each other. These are the kind of things you got to look at, all right? Then there's this quote in the Mueller investigation, some text messages with this fellow that I'm going to be interviewing comes out, and he says, hey, I stopped the flow of the tapes. And then Cohen says, well, what are you talking about? He says, well, let's talk. I'll give you a phone call. I'll call you up. A lot of people are stupid. I have the transcript, okay? And we're going to be getting into all that, all right? How did I get down there? Oh, but by the way, too, I'm reading this guy's book, and he talks about how things in Georgia had gotten so dystopian, before the Russian invasion, and the fall of the USSR, the crime, poverty, inflation, out of control, unemployment, and there was so much crime, and the police were doing much of the crime, that the people formed their own people's defense organizations. And I got to tell you something, people think, oh, that'll happen over there, but it could never happen here. Trust me, it can happen here. And we're creating the conditions. Just like Che Guevara says, we can create the conditions for revolution. We can create the conditions for fascism, for military dictatorship here in the United States, for martial law. For authoritarian rule, for a police state, for a blatant, openly police state. Way worse than we have now. Okay, I'm talking about we're kicking in your door with no warrant and taking you to jail with no trial, with no due process whatsoever. That's coming, fellas. Okay, I'll be long gone by the time they'll have me in a cattle car dead in Guantanamo Bay someplace before that hits. Okay, way before you guys suffer under that for the next 50 years. But hey, and you'll say, well, you're sitting in a little concentration camp. Oh, we should have listened. We should have supported Ed. He only wanted $3 a month, and he could have helped us get out of all this mess. Look at all the other stuff he's done. Okay, well, nah, he's too busy. But I don't agree with his politics. Oh no, it's a silly goose. Oh no! Well, he's only been right every time. Okay, but this is the time. It's like Charlie Brown with the football with Lucy. This time, that'll be right this time. Okay, good luck. So it can happen here, man, and we're seeing that with this big, beautiful bull. Been taking 17 million people off of their health insurance. You're going to see an increase in drug addiction. unemployment, just more crime, just through the roof. That's going to just be disastrous. More unemployment, just disastrous. And then cutting people off of food stamps. Now you're going to have, once again, more crime. All this business about rounding people up. But now they're rounding up innocent people with this immigration stuff. And very interesting. Okay, I'm going to tell you a little behind-the-scenes stuff here, okay? Alligator Alcatraz, right? Okay, in the Everglades, right? They're putting this alligator Alcatraz. Years ago, I was contacted by a listener that had some information for me about a very famous actor and band. He's in a band, too, as well. He lived in Florida at one period of time. Down, not too far from there, about an hour away from this airstrip in Everglades. And, I started looking into the story. Can I confirm this? And by the way, I believe that this is how he met Hunter S. Thompson. I believe that they had met early on down in Florida during those years, because Hunter S. Thompson was down in Florida, too, around the same time. And there's this by the way, Hunter S. Thompson was living in Florida for free, and if you watch these little documentary clips about him and stuff like that, it talks about how a friend let him live down in Florida for free. And he rode around on a speedboat all day long. Okay. I think he was doing something else. I think he was helping, doing some kind of work, providing things, something, perhaps. But what came to me is that there was a private airstrip in the middle of the Everglades, and nearby they had these Airbnbs, these bed and breakfasts. They didn't have Airbnbs in those days, and there was child sex trafficking going on through this hub down there. I looked into the airstrip, and it's true. There's no reason for there to be this airstrip, this private airport down there in the middle of these Everglades, and they do have this quite a bit of lodging down there too. Okay, and it says, well, I come down here for fishing and wildlife. What? I'm gonna go, I'm gonna go to the Mosquitoville to look at wildlife. You know what I mean? Give me something else going on there. Okay, I'm not stupid, man. By the way, most of these private airstrips and these private airports, there's always some kind of shenanigans going on there. The one in North Las Vegas was notorious for this kind of stuff, trafficking women and drugs through there, man. Look up how many crashes they had at that little tiny airport. And by the way, do you know who runs and owns and manages a private airstrip in Nevada, in Pahrump? Or not, it's near Pahrump, but I think it's in Pahrump. I forget exactly where it is. I did all the research on it at one point. Heidi Fleiss, the former madam, is now in the private airport strip business. Okay, that's her livelihood now. And by the way, too, we just had the death of Michael Madsen. A lot of people don't know, but she had a relationship with Michael Madsen too, as well as that guy John Sizemore. Okay, and look what happened to him. That poor guy. So it seems like she leads she was with Dennis Hoff too, man. It leads a trail of dead bodies, man, behind her unrequited love, her love life of corpses, at young ages too, man. All these people. Madsen clearly was involved in drugs. I would suspect heroin, as well as Sizemore, right? Sizemore is his name. Poor guy. What great actor, man. But some of those films he did toward the end, they were just horrific, man. Just for a payday, he could just barely make it through the lines. So anyway, this private airstrip, where I'm convinced there's all kinds of trafficking going on through there, they decide to build Alligator Alcatraz right next to it, like right nearby. They're going to have to be using that strip to be bringing people in and out. I don't think the Alligator Alcatraz has its own airstrip, not yet, anyway. And the Alligator Alcatraz was created by an events group, like they do festivals and raves and things like that, and concerts. And their donators, they donate to Ron DeSantis's. Now, you might recall a previous immigration stunt by Ron DeSantis, where he flew those people out of Texas up to Martha's Vineyard or something like that, But he chartered these private pilots, and we did a whole show about this. And when I asked the guest who was an expert on this, I says, and that where they stopped to refuel or whatever reason, why they stopped at this private airstrip, this private airport in Florida, I says, that place is a CIA front, right? And the guy tried to kind of like hedge around. Yeah, he knew the story. Now, not only did they stop this flight for whatever reason in the CIA airstrip in Florida, but the guy who owns that CIA airstrip claimed he had 30 employees and got all this stolen PPP money, during COVID, You know what I mean? And he was a friend and donor to DeSantis as well, too. And there's no flight logs. There's no record of who got on that plane, who may have gotten on or off in Florida, and who got on or off up in Martha's Vineyard. There's no record. We don't know. Nobody knows. You don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows. And when things are going on where there's no oversight, where nobody knows, where things are done in the dark, that is when crimes take place. Okay? That's why there's so many crimes in prison going on. It's so rampant because nobody's watching. Nobody cares. Nobody knows. And they're in there policing themselves. So, and now we have Mr. DeSantis, who comes, by the way, out of Guantanamo Bay. This guy was down there in Gitmo waterboarding people, all right, guys? That's his background. Like, what is this? The moral president stole $10 million. His wife just stole $10 million from a charity donation down here. To then use the money to buy commercials against rec marijuana because they're in bed with the Russian oligarchs that control the medical marijuana down here in Florida. Am I telling you too much information? This isn't even in my notes. Okay. Yeah. Then we just had overnight. Okay, this has just happened last night. They're deploying 200 Marines down here in Florida to assist this immigration stuff, and also too, they're deputizing the Florida Highway Patrol as federal agents in order to enforce immigration laws. Okay, so we're seeing the federal control over local police. All right, and which is horrific, guys. These are all the things the founding fathers warned us against. This is all the things that any civil libertarian and any civil rights person has warned us against all these years, and now we're welcoming it because of the evil, a final solution to the unpaperworked people, human beings standing next to us online at 7-Eleven, working at the car wash, what was going to wash our cars? Working at the car wash, working as landscapers. All these people are so dangerous and so subhuman that we're going to throw them in a camp down in Alligator Alcatraz that's already flooded within 1 week of being opened. Is already flooding down there because you have to understand Florida. And we're just heading into hurricane season, and they've taken away the government subsidies to track these hurricanes. We're not going to, when hurricanes hit this season, we're not going to have advanced knowledge of them. All right? We're in trouble, guys. We're in big trouble. All right? But keep ignoring me. Okay? And what does Ed Opperman know? Nothing, right? Yeah, nothing. Go listen to YouTube Flippity Flop. He's got only answers for you. He's wearing his sunglasses and his hat in his video. The camera's pointed right at his face. And he's got headphones on even though nobody's talking to him. It's only when you've been in real radio that you realize when you see these idiots on YouTube with their headphones on, there's no reason for them to have headphones on. Okay? If you're in front of a mic by yourself, and there's no one in the same room or talking to you over the phone, maybe taking a phone call, speaking to you some way that you need to prevent feedback, that you need to wear headphones. There's no reason to have headphones on. Okay, they're just doing that because out of stupidity. They're not listening to anything in those headphones. And the sunglasses, they're wearing sunglasses inside at night. What do they need that for? Let's get to P. Diddy before I have a heart attack. Okay. Oh, my God, I got way a bunch of notes here. Let's real quick. What about this Idaho shooter, man? He sets fires, these arsons, then he's shooting. He shot like 10 firefighters, right? By the way, there's a lot of stuff, man. If we had real terrorism, there's a lot of stuff you could do with fires and forest fires and things. Okay? I've talked to people And I've says, hey, man, if someone were to do this, they could take down the whole they could take down a whole city, And they go, yeah, we know. Well, the terrorists must know too. I didn't think this up on my own. But this guy, this alleged Idaho shooter who shot himself and killed himself, has a TikTok where he mentions furries. He's into these furries, like Damien Eccles' sister-in-law there, and organ selling. And this guy was a brony, one of these characters that has a sexual fetish with My Little Pony, the cartoon. Now, I'm all for, talk about civil rights, I'm all for rounding those people up. Because no good can come out of that. No normal man, woman, maybe a child. I was almost going to say man, woman, or a child. I'll give a break to a child that's watching My Little Pony. After that, no. Okay, lock him up. Let's chant. Lock him up. Lock him up. All right. P. Diddy. Oh, and the fix was in. They must have been. I'm an expert on P. Diddy. He should have got 100 years. Life in prison. Death penalty for P. Diddy. Well, okay, we have the sentencing request, a recommendation from the prosecutor. In fact, that letter, I threw that letter up on the Opperman Report Patreon for free mere minutes after it was released. And the prosecution is asking for 51 to 64 months. Now, there is a pretrial, what's this thing called? It's called, not a pretrial, sentencing guidelines, a federal sentencing guidelines, and it's a point system. Local courts, they call it a score sheet, but in federal they call it the sentencing guidelines. It's something like that. I forget exactly at the moment. And it's a point system. By the way, you got to do 85% of your time. So let's say he does get the 51 months, which will be a miracle, guys, okay? He only has to do 85% of that, which will be, well, let's see, 51 minus divided by 12. This could be scary when I actually do this math, okay? This could be very, very scary. What's going on there? Can't open up a calculator on my computer. It's 2025. Okay. So 51 divided by 1, 2. I know there's millions of people out there who can do it in their head. That's 4 years, 4.25 years. And he only has to do 85% of that, so that's less than 4, right? And it's definitely 85% is less than less than 4. But then he can also get credit for time served. Well, he's been awaiting, which is about a year. This guy could be out 2 years. Okay. All right. And that's based on this sentencing guidelines asking for 51 to 64 months. And I read the letter, and what it's based on is your previous criminal history. And they're actually trying to finagle that to even get away with asking for this 51 to 64. So, of course, the defense is going to fight that. This could be bad, guys. This could be bad. He could be out really, really early. And it's not just that I want to see. I hate to see anybody go to prison. I hate to see anybody suffer. But it just sends a signal out there that it's okay to get away with this stuff, and that the rich and the powerful can do whatever they want. Now, where are the flaws in this case? Clearly, they got to a juror. They got to one juror about the racketeering conspiracy charges. Because there was one holdout for that, okay, who just wasn't negotiating, wasn't communicating with the rest of the jury. So there's no doubt, in my mind, my experience in these kind of things, that they got to a jury, which is a bold move. And let me tell you something, man. When you're facing life anyway, if they would have got convicted on the conspiracy and racketeering, he would have been in there for life. So what do you got to lose? Go after a juror. What are they going to give you, another 10 years? Can't wait when you get to those numbers. You know what I mean? Yeah, go like that. Give me a jury. But, and it could be done with money. And he's not opposed to bribing witnesses. We know he's done it in the past. There's witnesses to that. So I can tell you a lot of stuff about P. Diddy. But if you need a guest about P. Diddy, bring me on. I'll tell you a lot of stuff about his connection to Keith Schiller, Trump's head of security. But what do you call it? Back to this trial here. He was caught. There was a legal search warrant, man. A legal raid on his property in Florida where he's in possession of 3 fully automatic rifles, that had defaced serial numbers. These were unregistered automatic rifles with defaced serial numbers. That's 15 years right there. He was not charged separately for those. It could be, I think he could be charged now by the state. But he wasn't charged for that. They swooped that in under these conspiracy charges and racketeering charges. By the way, too, his defense can also, because they brought in this ridiculous witnesses about arson, about some fire from a BMW or something like that, or a Porsche, for some caddy. I think his name was Caddy, Cody, whatever, some boyfriend of Cassie's boyfriend. And who I suspect it was Diddy that set fire to my car. And it wasn't even, it was the damage to the car wasn't even that much. So you bring in that testimony, then you drop those charges on it, so you're admitting that this testimony was weak. Now the defense can come back as an appellate issue and say, hey, they brought in poisonous fruit here, poisonous evidence here that made my client look worse, and they convicted him, and then they didn't even charge him on it. So, Your Honor, we want a new trial. So now they could negotiate down even further. The judge could say, well, you're not going to get a new trial, but we're going to knock 6 months off the sentence. So, guys, this is a monumental failure for the prosecution, who did not charge separately for those firearms. That's insane, And whatever else, that's enough. Okay, guys, if you want something to be upset about with this case, that's enough. That's all you need. They could have charged for the guns and he'd be in prison. Al Capone went to prison for a tax fraud, man. So they could have got him. They could probably still got him for tax fraud, this guy. There's no doubt he's up to something. Anyway, guys, we're out of time. And I have so much more notes. Check out Opperman Report at Patreon. You can read that letter I just told you about. It's up there for free. If you're experienced with Wikipedia, okay, you're an editor, and you can help me create a page. If you charge for it, I'll talk to you about that. But I want to go back to all my previous guests who have Wikipedia page, and there's at least 100 of them, and we could put a link to the interview. And Christmas season, when the advertising revenue is up, that would be significant money to move this operation along here. Okay, and especially if I have a bigger platform where I'm getting paid to do a podcast, and we have that in the background. There's a lot of stuff here, guys. I'm not dying anymore. Thank God I had the heart procedure there, and I walked out of there feeling so much better, and now I'm on medication. Although they're going to take it away when they take away my health care. So I could be back to dying. And those shows are a lot of fun. Okay, when I would be out of breath 3 minutes into the show, unable to continue. Or just pray and the show would be over. I can't wait to play those repeats, man. Coming up, Philip K. Dick's widow, the piss tape guy. Oh, my point with the piss tape stuff, though, is when people were telling me that it was that they saw the whole thing in real time, that was all an inoculation. That was Trump getting ahead of the story. He knew the piss tape story was going to come out, which is why they search engine optimized the phrase piss tape, that whenever you looked for it, it would come back to this Reddit troll. Guys, trust me on this kind of stuff. I pay attention to what I'm doing. I'm not distracted by a bunch of idiots out there and YouTube guys with sunglasses and headphones on when they don't need them. Okay, I'm doing the work myself. Work that I trust, that my clients trust and rely on. Stay out of prison with. Okay, Walter Herb's coming up. Craig Unger coming up about the October surprise. By the way, it turns out Craig Unger was one of the first guys to bring up the October surprise. He worked on this way back at the time, and it's only now that people give him credit. So tonight coming up is Noah's Ark. Keep an eye out for Jaden Jeffs, son of Warren Jeffs. Keep an eye out for me on Press TV, talking about the genocide in the Middle East and weapons industry profiteering and all that kind of wonderful stuff. And Palantir and Peter Thiel and Elon Musk. I would get into it. My notes were great, but the way they do their interviews is kind of strange. And I need to get some technical stuff set up a little bit better. Okay, we're out of time. Good night. Goodbye. Leave me alone. Go to Patreon. Sign up. $3. Don't leave me alone. By the way, if you need to send me a message, so important, you want to get my attention. If you were a member at Patreon, you send me a message. You're going to hear back from me. It might take a couple of months. But you will hear back from me. If your message to me is so urgent, $3, okay, for a month, and then you can download 1,800 hours worth of content in a month. You'll probably go out and buy a new hard drive to do that, but then you'll spend the money on that, but not to support me. Yeah, leave me alone. Get me out of here. Lord, take me now. Elizabeth, I'm coming, Elizabeth. I'm coming, Elizabeth. Oh, yeah.
I pulled into Nazareth, was feeling about half-past dead. I just need some place where I can lay my head. Hey, mister, can you tell me where a man might find a bed? He just grinned and shook my hand. No was all he said. Take a load off, Fanny. Take a load for free. Take a load off, Fanny. And you put the load right on me. I picked up my bag. I went looking for a place to hide. When I saw Carmen and the devil walking side by side, I said, hey, Carmen, come on, let's go downtown. She said, I gotta go, but my friend can stick around. Take a load off, Fanny. Take a load for free. Take a load off, Fanny. And you put the load right on me. Go down, Miss Moses, there's nothing you can say. It's just old Luke, and Luke's waiting on the judgment day. Well, Luke, my friend, what about young Anna Lee? He said, do me a favor, son, won't you stay and keep Anna Lee company? Take a load off, Fanny. Take a load for free. Take a load off, Fanny. And you put the load right on me. Crazy Chester followed me and he caught me in the fall. He said, I will fix you right if you take Jack, my dog. I said, wait a minute, Chester, you know I'm a peaceful man. He said, that's okay, boy, won't you feed me when you can? Yeah, take a load off, Fanny. Take a load for free. Take a load off, Fanny. And you put the load right on me. Get your cannonball now to take me down the line. My bag is sinking low, and I do believe